So we were traveling on a truck carrying some goods to the city because there's no bus running at that time.
Wow, okay.
So in the middle of the night, you know, these armed robbers stops us.
Armed robbers?
Yeah, stops us in the middle of the night. Now, we're on our way to go and apply for a visa.
Apply for a visa, yeah.
Okay. So it was my dad. I hid my passport inside, and my dad gave me some money, and I hid some money within me. So they didn't say, everybody come out. And me, I was just there praying. I said, please don't shoot, don't shoot my dad, don't shoot anybody.
My God.
So
Affinity Extra, be extra.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and do not necessarily represent the views of Affinity Extra.
Greetings again, my listeners and my community. This is the Love in Action show, where, as you know, we talk about things that are good and sometimes things that are not so good. But we do this because they need to have a conversation to bring about clarity and, with God's grace, even peace. Today, I have the great privilege of interviewing a lovely lady who goes by the name of Christine Glory, who has I gotta say this, has just completed her new book, her first book, called Outrunning Fear. I mean, the title alone has drove me really to say I have to interview this young lady. The book really is about her life. So without any further ado, welcome Christine to the show.
thank you very much, Rico.
Listen,
yes.
It's a privilege to have you. And I'm not here really to just, you know, speak about your great achievement in, you know, writing and publishing your first book, you know, Outrunning Fear. You know, for the viewers, just explain who you are and a bit about yourself.
Okay, so as Rico said, my name is Christine Glory, and I am really, you know, an IT professional, but I decided to also write my book and really about my journey and really just document how I can really be an inspiration to people and to the world really. And so sharing my story, I believe everybody will be able to relate to it in some way or the other. Now, as Rico said, I've titled the book Outrunning Fear. Now, you know, this book is centered around growing up in a war zone, because I was born.
So you were brought up in a war zone country. Okay, where is that?
In Uganda.
Okay.
So so at the time that I was born, literally was a time of war all through my childhood. So I just.
So what age are you? When you say childhood, at what age were you in this war-torn country?
From literally from birth, really. I was born into it. Yeah.
So you grew up in a war zone environment.
Yes.
Wow. So just for the viewers, obviously you're now living in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, it's all over the world, the knowledge of the Russian and Ukraine war. Is there anything that you've seen from the news that kind of relates to your life in Uganda?
Oh, most definitely. You know, I can relate to what's happening in the Ukraine, because in terms of when you're in a war zone, right. You know, it's normal to hear bullets. It's normal to see bombs.
Normal.
You know, normal.
Wow.
You know, yeah, it's normal. And the fear, you know, you lose your home, you have to flee. So you just basically lose where your home, and you're on the run, and you're on survival mode. And so that had been my story. And with my family, from a young age, and obviously all through into my teenage years, I'd been running and living in through that war zone, through that fear. So you kind of get used to it. You get to know that, okay, that's the life that you're born into, and
that
you just
is
have
so,
to survive.
you know, that, I just find that very, I suppose daunting is the word, because here in the UK, you know what I mean, you know, I know we've had wars, you know what I mean, but that was before my time. But, you know, to grow up and say that, you know, it became natural to hear bombings and shootings and being uprooted from your home and running. I mean, nearest we're seeing what you're talking about, as I said, is with the Ukraine and Russia situation, where, you know, they've had thousands on top of thousands of them have to leave their country and find refuge in other countries because of the war and the bombings and stuff what's going on. So you was a little girl then. So tell me, you know, for the viewers, explain a bit more. What was that like then, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So as obviously as a little girl growing up in that environment is kind of my experience, kind of like, because you're born into it, it becomes normal. So you don't know anything out there. All you know is that, okay, running, you know, and it was like, if the time you didn't hear a bomb or the time there was no running, you'd be wondering, oh, what's going on? You know, it kind of became like fun, like, because as children, it'd be fun, but at the same time it's terrifying, because most the war that was happening, you know, in Uganda at that time, was more of child abduction. So
my God,
it was more like children my age would be in danger. So it's literally children killing children. It wasn't like an adult, or so it was more like child abduction. So
my God,
the leader of the group would abduct children, obviously train them into child soldiers, and then turn them, and then obviously they're the one that was now doing the killing.
Right. And so it's like a brainwashing program.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that fear now for me, that, and for my parents, is that I would be abducted.
Of course.
You know, and you know, many children were abducted. Many in my community.
Women and
women,
boys?
Women were abducted and obviously turned into sex slaves.
Oh my God.
And also obviously soldiers as well. And so, you know, these were the fear and the concern obviously for me. And, you know, so I would have to really run and flee. Sometime would be for months. I can fully
understand that. And from your parents' point of view, you being a little girl, I just can imagine as a father myself, that anxiety of, you know, not knowing, you know, what the outcome is going to be, you know, for my children, because as you're rightly saying, there's abduction going on, there's killing, there's bombings, you're fleeing from your home, you know, and you know, this was it seems like it was a constant situation.
Yeah, constant.
Wow, absolutely amazing. Yeah. So how then did you get out of Uganda? Because obviously now you're in the UK, so how was your journey from there then? Because obviously you survived through the war, thank God.
Yes, so my journey has kind of been back and forth. So before I actually came to the UK, so I had an auntie who was living in Germany at the time. Okay. So I started I think she got in touch with my father and my mother. At the time I was at the age of 8. So I literally was, you know, invited to go to Germany, and that was my first trip into Europe. Like literally my first away from my family, away, and because I was the firstborn at the time, so you know, and my aunt, you know, wanted somebody that, you know, company, a family relative close by, and said, you know, let me actually, you know,
there, be safer. Somewhere you were. So what age were you? What age were you then when you left Uganda?
I was 8.
You were 8?
Yeah, 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very young. And you traveled alone, or with your parents?
No, I travel alone. Obviously accompanied by a minor and on the one of the hair hostess. Yeah. I travel, and I'd never met my auntie before. Oh my God. So I was just going by picture, and I just decided to just be brave and like.
That's a brave. So you're literally, just for the viewers, you've literally come through a war zone country where you've had to run for your life with your family. You're a young little girl at the time. You've seen kids of your age being abducted. You're saying that some were used as sex slaves, some were trained in the army and going back and shooting other kids of their age, if not older. You've then, through obviously your mother and your parents, they've decided the safest thing for them is to get you out of the country, which makes sense. Yes. You've then traveled now alone to Germany for the first time to meet somebody that you've never met. Wow, at the age of 8.
Yes.
Come on now. Wow, listen, that there is, that's a story in itself. So you got to Germany, so what happened there?
So I got to Germany, it was, to be honest, I'd never left my, Uganda at all. So
Sure.
it was, obviously it's a foreign land. It was the first time I'm seeing white people. I was like,
wow!
Yeah.
No, but it's a strange thing to say. Imagine that.
Yeah,
first time you've seen.
I'd never seen
I know white people say something that was the first they saw black people. So to hear somebody say it's the first time they saw
and there was
white
so
people.
many white people. It's like, oh my gosh! I was like,
wow.
Yeah, and and I remember also they looking at me, and I'm thinking, okay, initially that's when I thought, okay, I'm different actually.
Yes.
And so whilst in Germany, I did go to school as well. Yeah, so I did go to school for some time, but it was quite hard actually whilst I was in Germany, and so I also faced racism while I was also a bit at that time because that was 1997.
1997. Wow.
Yeah, then.
Wow.
But that didn't stop me. I still.
No, you just come from a war zone country.
Yeah.
Of course. You're back strong.
Yeah. That didn't stop me.
So you're going through, okay.
Yeah. So the whole experience was actually, it was really nice. A mixed feeling. I still didn't, I was still in a foreign land. I still didn't know, how to navigate. And besides, I didn't speak any English.
Any English, wow.
Or the Dutch, so I was just doing sign language basically, and use pictures. Like, that's what I want. Yeah.
Oh, you found a way to communicate.
Yes, I found a way. Yes.
I remember you're 8 at the time as well, so that was amazing. So. Again, I kind of empathize by the way you're speaking, but watching the news with the Ukrainians and the Russia situation, they've had to take their kids and travel to various places in different countries, really, Poland, and different countries like that in Europe for refuge, even here in England as well. And I suppose it's the same kind of thing, they've probably only known Ukraine, they've only known their kind of lifestyle, and then they've had to, because of war, pick themselves up and flee for their very lives and for the safety of their children, which is what your mom did with you, to make sure that you were safe. She got you out of the country. So you've left Germany, so you're here in the UK now. So how did that transition go? So
initially, I traveled to and from Germany twice.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Germany wasn't able to give me like citizenship or anything like that.
Why was that? Is there any reason for that?
They just refused for some reason. So
okay.
Yeah, so I had to now go back again. Back
to Uganda?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that was another 2 years. I was back again into that war zone.
So you went back into the war, so the war was still carrying on?
The war was still carrying on. I mean, the war ended. Look, the war ended 2012. So that was still, it was a long
That's a long war.
Yeah, so that was still going on so I had to go back into that again and because I hadn't been running for some time, I had to just gain momentum again and literally just start. Start that whole process. And I remember when one, which I've also documented in my book, that I remember a time when I went back and literally the first night that I arrived, what happened was I didn't even unpack my bag or anything like that. And it was the evening, and in the middle of the night, around midnight onward, we just had a bomb blow up.
My God.
And that time I just arrived from Germany. And the only thing is I grabbed was my passport, and I hid it on my neck, inside my clothes.
Yes.
And that's all I grabbed. The rest of the stuff, we left it there, and we
So you've just come from Germany.
Yeah.
After 2 years, I take it. How long was your wait?
After about 6 months.
You was in Germany for 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've gone back to Uganda because of permit issues.
Yes.
And then the first night you've arrived now, there's a bomb.
Yeah.
And you've had to leave your suitcase, which you haven't even unpacked.
Yeah.
Grab your passport, which is a smart thing.
Yeah.
And flee for your life again.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was going through your mind at that time?
The kind of fear and what was going through my mind, I was so afraid.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I knew that I had to run, and I knew how to, I ran so much that I didn't even look back. I ran to the point where I got to a stage where I lost my mum. My mum, we lost each other's hand because she was holding me, and I lost her, and I ended up in the field for days, and without seeing my mum. I was just among strangers.
8-year-old.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Among strangers at the time, and until my mum located me. Until she caught up with me. I was worried that maybe she was, she
kidnapped, catched, killed. I can imagine.
Yeah, because
and she's probably thinking the same thing.
Exactly, because whilst I was running, obviously, a bullet. One of the person that was next to me, a bullet just shot, and they just went down.
God.
And I just had to keep running, because that bullet could have been me.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so that was what was going through my mind.
Jeez. Viewers, I've got to say this, it's one thing seeing this kind of thing on the news. But when you're hearing it from somebody that's lived it, it just changes the whole perspective, because you're only 8, and yet you've seen probably more things than I have in my lifetime, without a doubt, at the age of 8. You know what I mean? Because I've never, had to live in a war zone situation. We have street wars, yes, gang related and stuff like that, but nothing like what we're seeing on the news with Russia and Ukraine, where you're actually being bombed, and you don't know if you're going to survive tomorrow. You're seeing friends killed, and everybody's on a panic zone, you know what I mean, and everybody's looking to get out as quick as they can or fight their way out of it. But here you are at 8 though, and you've experienced so much, and now you've had to return back to a war zone. The first day or the first night, you've had to run. You've got lost in the fields for several days. Your mom doesn't know if you're alive. You don't know if your mom's alive. That's there. Oh my God. You know what I mean? So after you got united and stuff, obviously you got back to, where did you go back from there, to England, or did you go back to Germany? How did you get to the UK?
So how I got to the UK, that was a whole journey itself. So I didn't, so that was another 2 years. So I didn't come to the UK until 2000.
So you was in Uganda another 2 years after? Wow.
Yeah.
During a war zone?
During a war, I was still, and that was just the first night that I'd run numerous times during those 2 years.
During those 2 years?
Yes. And, and literally will be, every time we returned home, our homes was in ruins.
Yeah, burned
and we did have, we'd have to start over again.
My God.
All our produce and everything, and it was all gone. So we're having to start again, and most of the time that we run, we'll be in the middle of the field. Sometimes we'll be there for 4 weeks.
Wow.
Just in the heat of the sun.
And it's about to say,
very hot.
no shelter.
No shelter.
Wow, and wild animals and creatures and all kind of things, because you were talking about Africa now,
Yeah.
Wow. So I've got to ask you, it's probably a bit sensitive question, but it's something I need to ask for the viewers. During these times of you running in a war zone country, did you lose friends and people that you knew around you and stuff like that?
Yes, I lost cousins.
Oh God.
I lost neighbors that were close by. Their children were abducted as well.
Wow.
And so they've never, up to today, they've never come back.
Wow.
Yeah, they've never come back.
That must have been very hard. I mean, you're seeing those things at the age you are. You know what I mean? When I'm speaking to you, I have to be honest, you know, you seem to have adapted well, because, you know, like I said, you know, you've achieved your first book. You know what I mean? You're working as an IT. And you know, so let's go to, you're in England. So you got to England now. How have you? Yeah. How was that experience?
Okay, so before I narrate how I got to England, so eventually my aunt moved to the UK.
That's no German auntie. Okay.
From Germany.
Right. Okay.
So she then said, okay, let's try UK. Let's try to bring Christine to the UK. And yeah, now the journey for me to get a visa, it took a long time. So we tried the whole of 1999. It was impossible. So anyway, fast forward, the night, you know, that I am to come to, because I was studying at the time in Uganda still.
Okay.
The night that I was, you know, to come to get the visa, which I document in my book as well.
Go say that again. There's the book.
The night that I came to, you know, for me to go and get the visa, because we had to travel in the night. My dad had to come and pick me up early, and unfortunately it was in the night. So during the night on the way, we, you know, initially we thought it was, you know, police patrol or something like that. Actually, it turns out to be robbers. So we were traveling on a truck carrying some goods to the city because there's no bus running at that time.
Wow, okay.
So in the middle of the night, you know, these armed robbers stops us.
Armed robbers?
Yeah, stops us in the middle of the night. Now, we're on our way to go and apply for a visa.
Apply for a visa, yeah.
Okay. So it was my dad. I hid my passport inside.
Right.
And my dad gave me some money and I hid some money within me. So they didn't say, everybody come out. And me, I was just there praying. I said, please don't shoot my dad, don't shoot anybody.
My God.
So what happened was, now they're demanding money. They now shoot the driver. So I was like, okay, I need to go and get my visa, So they didn't shoot the driver. Now the driver is injured. They took all the money that my dad had. Thankfully, they didn't search me, and because I was just pleading, say, please don't shoot my dad, don't shoot anyone. And thankfully, they got everything that they wanted. So that delayed, obviously. So they had to we had to take the driver to the hospital, and eventually we did arrive the capital city.
Right.
And by then, you know, so that alone.
Wow, that's just drama.
Yeah, it's just drama, like just to get to the UK. So now to get to the UK, the visa process was so tough, but eventually I got it, and I arrived UK, and that was a whole. It was, you know. Again, it's a different country.
Oh, yeah, and, it is. Definitely different from Germany as well.
Yeah. Obviously, I had known my aunt now, so it wasn't like too strange. Like I'm
like the first time. Yeah.
So it was nice to see my auntie, and you know, and a different environment. So the whole experience. Initially, I was excited.
Yeah, of course.
I was excited. But at the same time, I was sad because I was leaving my family behind.
Yeah, your mom, your dad.
I was leaving my siblings.
Sisters.
Yeah,
brothers.
My sisters,
Oh, man.
So I was sad.
Not knowing even probably what fate may come upon them as well, because they're in a war zone situation, I can imagine. Wow.
Yeah, so there's that. And then obviously got into school. Again, coming to the UK, I only spoke little English, small English, like maybe hello. Yeah.
Well, I must say, for the viewers, you're speaking very good English now. I must say, very good. But carry on.
So what really helped me was I decided to, you know, those days you had librarians. So I dig deep, and I spent most of my days in the library.
Okay.
And I just was reading all the time, and even, you know, I had a good librarian that would suggestion books.
Man.
You know, even though I didn't understand anything, I use images, and that's how I was able to learn, so that I can communicate.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But I also got into school, obviously. School was a whole new experience. That was actually a whole new experience, and for you know, it wasn't too hard comparing school with Germany. It wasn't too hard.
Okay.
But I also faced a little bullying, but eventually, you know, I toughen up.
Yes.
I said, you know what?
Yeah, you're coming, like I said, you're coming from real places.
I toughen up,
You
know, I toughen up, and when I toughen up, I gain respect in the school. So I didn't face any bullying.
After that,
I realized now this was
what
not to be messed with.
Right. There you go.
So you know, in East, because I was based in East London. So and in those days, you know, East London was quite rough as well. You also had the gang.
Yes, right.
You know, the east side, west side, all those sides. But I didn't really get involved in those things. But you was aware of it. You was aware of it. Yeah.
So brilliant, man. So you've gone now through, like I said, just to follow us through now. You've come from a war-torn country. You've arrived in Germany, couldn't stay. Gone back to Germany. First night, you've had to flee for days or whatever, you know, hiding away for your life. You've then got eventually to get your visa because your auntie has gone to England now. On the day of you're going to get the visa, you're, you know, stopped by armed bandits really that are demanding money and willing to kill. Thank God they didn't. That delayed your process, but then you got your visa, came to England, met your auntie who you now know, and you went through the school process, went through some bullying and all the rest of it. So you've got now to the point now where you're in the UK, and you know, for many, you know, who can see, you know, you're in a wheelchair, but you're speaking about running. So obviously I take it then that your wheelchair experience happened while you was over in Germany or in England?
So my wheelchair experience happened in the UK.
It's in the UK, so when you got to England? Okay.
Yeah, so I was up to the age of 14. I was an able-bodied running, doing...
You're 14 now, okay.
At the time, I was 14 and just, you know, living life as, you know, on my legs and everything. Yeah. And I then, you know, obviously, as you can see, I then had an accident, which I talk about it in detail in your book. In my second book.
Right, so you've got to get this book to hear all the detail.
So yeah.
Right, so just, you know, for the viewers, you're 14 now by the time this incident has happened, which is in the book.
No, it's not in this book.
Oh, it's not in this book?
It will be in the second book. Enlighten me. It will be in the second book.
Did I hear a second book?
Yes.
You have a second book?
I have a second book coming.
Oh, wow. So there you are, viewers. This is the first book, and she seems as though she's already got a second book written. I mean, you know, this is what faith looks like, isn't it? This is, you know, because I'm listening to your story, and as I said, the nearest I can empathize with it is just because of what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, but you actually lived it. But not just lived it as like what I've seen with most of them, they got their parents and that with them. You know, you've had to leave your parents and travel abroad for your own safety, for your mom and dad's sake. And you've come to England, you've had some things happen where now you was unable to use your legs. But it hasn't stopped you, Christine. Explain what's your driving force then? What's kept you going, that you got one book and then you got a second book by the sounds of it coming out soon? So what? And you got a smile on your face. You know what is it? Because I'm missing something here. You know what I'm saying? What's the secret?
Do you know what? I wish I can credit everything to myself, but I think I credit to God, and to really, my faith, has really helped me throughout my journey.
Wow.
And my faith, and then also the people, the right people that has been in my life, that I believe God stationed,
positioned and placed,
come on now, in my life to be able to help me to this point. Because without the right people being around you, your life can be messed up. You know?
I agree.
So, so I think over the years, with everything that has happened to me, I've built up a resilience within me, where anything that happens in life, I have this positive outlook. I say, you know what? Okay, this is another challenge. This is something, come on, Christine, you can do this.
Come on.
You know, I have this
positive outlook. I like that. Yeah.
So I'm always having this inner self speaking to myself. I always say, you know what? No matter how hard you know, I always say, okay, you've come through that. You're gonna overcome this as well.
Come on now.
You know, with the help of God, you know, you're gonna overcome this, Christine. Even if it's hard, you know. Yes, it's not been easy at all.
I can imagine. Definitely not. I mean, and as I said, I keep on emphasizing, I'm more struck by the age that you've gone through so much, because you know that experience there from a little girl up to 14. You know what I mean? It just seems like such a dramatic period of time, but you know, I can't help but, you know, sense the peace, the joy, you know what I mean, and the fulfillment. I mean, you know, you're very creative because you wrote the book. I mean, it's beautifully, put together. You know, the book, Outrunning Fear. And now listening to your story, I can understand what you mean, because you spent a lot of time running.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know, most of your life as a young girl, you spent running from, you know, dangerous things that could endanger or take your life. So, you know, I encourage, you know, anybody that's listening, you know, to, you know, definitely, you know, get a copy of this book, because I think it's going to be something that can help you to overcome whatever you're running from or whatever challenges you're facing. You know what I mean? Christine, in the book, give me, you know, for the viewers' sake, just give me a small extract of a part that you would like to share with the viewers. Okay.
So a small extract I would like to share with, I think in my, you know, one of I share, you know, a time when I came to, obviously when I came to the UK.
Yeah.
And, the feelings, the experience that I actually had, even though I'd flee from Uganda to the UK, I still, you know, face some domestic abuse, and so, you know, it wasn't an easy transaction, even in the UK. But which you would,
it was like you came out of a particular war zone into a different kind of war zone. Okay.
So I had another whole experience, so which you will see in this book, as well.
Wow.
And you will begin to see, okay, how I transitioned from that, and how I overcame. So which everybody will be able to relate to it.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure.
In one way or the other.
I'm sure.
So you will see that side of it as well. So you think, but you know, overall, it's all positive. And you know, it's, you know, my book might sound quite sad or anything, but actually it's not a sad story. It's really how you can overcome anything that is thrown at you. And you can have a different outlook and a different perspective. Because I could come out, because this book, if you read and you think, oh, maybe someone's bitter. No, this book will leave you not bitter. Will leave you like, okay, look at your situation, what you've gone through, and turn it for good. Turn it for your good.
There's a scripture that comes to my mind when you say that, you know, I think the Lord says, you know, the things that the enemy meant for evil, you know what I mean, turns around for good. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, the fact that you're here, you've already, you know, did something so great that you've left, you know, a book that people can actually get an insight of what it was like for a young girl, you know, so young, to experience so much horror, so much devastation, come out of her country, leaving her parents and family, who she's secure around, alone now in a strange country, you know, learning a new language. I mean, this stuff sounds like overcoming to me. I mean, there's, you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if if I could have got through that. I don't know. I mean, I suppose you never know unless you're in it. But, you know, from the outside looking in, I'm looking and thinking, wow, this is a journey. You know what I mean? And, you know, you're such a pleasant young lady that, you know, you're working, you're writing books. How about traveling? Do you travel?
Oh yes, I love traveling.
Oh yes, okay. Tell me a bit about your traveling experiences.
Yeah, I mean,
where have you been?
So I've traveled to Israel. I've traveled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've also traveled to Africa, different parts of Africa. I've traveled to Europe. Also, you know, I like adventure and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I like challenging myself. So yeah,
okay.
I've actually driven to Europe.
So you drive?
Yeah, I drive.
You actually drive?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I've driven in Europe, just literally just in Europe,
okay.
just different, you know,
wow.
visiting different cities.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
Brilliant.
so I love that.
Well, Christine Glory, you know what I mean? It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I mean, you are just a ray of sunshine and hope. You know what I mean? When I'm just in a little time of, you know, being in your presence and hearing your story and, you know, holding this book in my hand and hearing of the places you've been and the fact that you drive and your work as an IT, I take it?
Yes.
You know, I'll just be honest with you, most people would have had the blanket over their head and, you know, this is enough. I've just come out of a war zone country. I've come to the UK and now something's happened where I can't walk. Mm-hmm. That'd be enough for me and most people to say, you know what, later I've had enough with life. You know what I mean? But you've pushed on, you've gone, not only you've got through it, but you've gone beyond, you know, you're doing things that are just amazing, you know what I mean, from an outside looking in. You know, you've written a book, you've got another book by the sounds of it on the way. Yeah. You've got, you know, you've traveled, you've been to Israel, parts of Africa, Europe, you drive, you're doing all these great things and you've got such a beautiful continent on you know, you'd never know unless speaking to you that you've been through all these horrors. You know what I mean? You're not bitter, you're not, you know what I mean? You're a credit to what life's about. Because life is a fight.
Yes.
Definitely. Life is a fight. And I love the title. Why did you call it? Is it, yeah, just for the viewers, Outrunning Fear. What was the thought behind that?
Oh, the thought behind Outrunning Fear is, you know, as there has been fearful, I've been in some fearful situations
yeah.
And not just fearful physically, but mentally, psychologically, you know, physically, and so I've had to outrun all those. Mm-hmm. And outrun is that I've not allowed the fear to overtake me.
Okay.
Fear will always be there.
Come on.
I will always.
You've learned not to yield to it,
yeah,
not to overcome it.
To overcome it, you know. Ooh. And so I know that I will, and wow. I can outrun any type of fear that I may face. Wow. Yeah. Wow. You know.
Wow. That is just amazing. You know, you are truly an example, and you speak about your faith. You know, undergirding, supporting you throughout all this, you know what I mean? And I take it then when you say your faith, that means you're a Christian?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, I'm a believer.
Wow.
And, you know, it's really been, you know, God, Jesus has been my strength, my hope, you know, and the word of God has been where I really draw my strength from, and you know, and you know, I'm able to, you know, push through any any situation that comes my way.
Yeah.
You know,
That's amazing. You know, because I had the privilege of interviewing a young man who's blind. He could see, but then he lost his sight. And he said exactly what you said. He said it was the word of God that keeps him, and again, his joy and the things that this man was doing. You know what I mean? He can't see. He absolutely cannot see. I was like blown. In fact, before I go any further, sad to say it, but I'm gonna have to say it, the tickets are completely gone. But Christine Glory is doing her book launch on the 28th of May at the Regency Hotel in Hagley Road. Dinner and dance. Can you believe that? Dinner and dance. How much? Not a penny. I gotta say that again. Not a penny. Why? One of the tickets are gone. Now, Christine, I mean, I've got to go there before I switch off.
Okay.
In this day and age with economical pressure, people just about can afford the gas bill and everything. You're putting on a prestige 5-star event to launch your book. I've got to show the viewers again. Yeah, please get a copy. And you're inviting people to come to have a 3-course meal, entertainment at a very well-known, you know, well-established hotel, and you have not charged a penny. I mean, that is just amazing, actually. You know what I mean? For the time we're living in. And, you know, I think that tells me a lot about you, you know, as a person, you know what I mean? That you just want people to come out and have a good night and celebrate with you your victory, if I may use that word, your victory of being able to put in words for people to share your life that you've carried with you from a little girl. You know what I mean? Because without this book, we would have never known half of what we know now. You know what I mean? About the journey and the horrors of war and stuff like that. So, just for the viewers' sake, I'm sorry to say, but yeah, the tickets have gone. But, you know, I'm sure in a second edition of her book, you know, we'll make sure that the advertisement is a bit more quicker and louder, you know what I mean? Because they went, I'll be honest with you, as it went out, they were gone. So, yeah, it was just one of those ones, you know what I mean? But, you know, support Christine Glory. You know what I mean? You know, you can get her book on Amazon, is that right?
Yes. And, you know,
the book's called Outrunning Fear. And it's about her personal life. It's about, you know, this is not a fairy tale. This is happening or happened to somebody at a very young and tender age. And her faith undoubtedly has proven to have kept her, not only, you know, in safe that she's alive, but kept her in a sound mind. You know, the things that she's described, you know, to us today, listeners, you know, would have long-lasting effects on our mental health. But, you know, she's here beaming with joy, you know, enjoying life, traveling, driving, you know. Yeah, glory to God. You know, I mean, all I can say, Christine, it has been a pleasure to have you on our show today. And we are looking forward to hearing about your next book.
Awesome.
And maybe we might hear a bit more about how your event went on the 28th.
Yeah.
Because I hear that you got people coming from different parts of the country, the world actually.
Yes.
Different countries.
Yes, and you know, Rico, when you said about why I didn't charge, you know, this book is not just me.
Yeah.
It's not just me.
Okay.
You know, this is representing the voices, the voices of those, the untold voices of those who have died in war.
Died.
And who has, who have outrun fear.
Which we're seeing it on our live TV every day with Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
I've seen families on the trains, in queues, in cars, and they're outrunning fear. I've never seen it like that, but now when I look at this title, that's exactly what they're doing. They're outrunning the fear of losing their children to bombs or their lives even.
Yes.
Wow.
So I just wanted those that have been made an impact and really, they're taking the time out to come.
Sure.
And, and they're traveling, some come from Germany, different parts. of England. So,
amazing.
you know, it's nice.
Amazing.
You know, for them
That's really
to come
amazing.
and,
Yeah. People that have shared in your journey at some point along your journey.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. And you know, I just, you know, gotta say, you know, I mean, from myself that, you know, I will be there. And, you know, I am really looking forward to, you know, celebrating with you, you know, at this outstanding book that you've written. You know what I mean? Which, just listening to you, you know, I'm tempted to just start reading it now. You know what I mean? But, you know, I just pray that, you know, the listeners will, you know, endeavor to support Christine Glory, you know what I mean? And her new book. I'm sure you're going to read something in it that you're going to be able to take home and, you know, develop your own character, your own strength, because we've all got our war zones. We're all fighting in different areas of life. You know, some political, some racial, some domestical, some family. There's so many different wars going on behind closed doors. But here's Christine Glory explaining in the best way she could that there is a way that you can outrun your fear. And that really is just having faith in God and trusting that throughout, no matter how bleak and how dark it may seem, God will make a way for you if you trust Him enough to do that. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you all soon. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this content. If you liked it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and make a comment down below. Or even more so, check out our website www.affinityextra.com for more information.